Today's episode is sponsored by the Christian Standard Bible. The goal of the CSB is to be faithful to the original languages without sacrificing clarity, all the while maintaining both accuracy and readability. With beautiful designs and multiple study Bible options, everyone, from adults to teens to children, can find a CSB Bible that they enjoy. Learn more at csbible.com.
Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations on faith, culture, and society. This is Marc Hyde.
And Chris Fuller.
And on today's episode of Real Talk Christian, we're talking about modern medicine. Is modern medicine okay for Christians, or do we just need to trust God to heal all the things? You ready to do this thing, Fuller?
Let's go, ho-ho! I love making you laugh.
On a
Just
scale of 1 to 10,
randomly.
how caffeinated are you?
Not as caffeinated as the last episode we recorded, but I'm starting to hit the downer. I just wanted to make you laugh and throw you off.
Well, you did a little bit. I also accidentally, when I was like, there was like some dust right here, so I just like wiped it off and I accidentally hit the like outro pad. So if you heard a weird sound there for a split second, my bad. My bad.
He got a little OCD-ish there on the roadcast.
It's true. So last episode, you threw down the gauntlet.
Gauntlet. We have literally 8 minutes and 3 seconds left to go before we need to enter
obviously this is like, you know, week 3 of this round of episodes, but this is the third episode that we've recorded tonight, and we had to record promotional content for the Ngatti Music Festival.
Right. So our YouTube viewers are probably like, man, these guys just never change clothes.
We don't shower either between episodes.
Well, to remind everybody, we batch record, and so this is the third one of the night, and like Mark said, we had to do promotional stuff for Ngatti, so...
Promotional stunts.
And the 100th review giveaway, which our listener, you guys all heard about 2 weeks ago.
That's true.
Anyways.
And we had to talk to Janelle sometimes, too.
Yeah.
She's watching some, like, baking, like, world's worst bakers, like, 90 celebrity edition or whatever.
Yes. And so it's,
So what's her name?
Jodie Sweetin.
From
Full House.
Stephanie
Falls.
Yep.
And then the Sean's brother from Boy Meets World.
Oh, that's who that is. Okay.
Yep. So
I don't know who
he was also he was the son in Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's what Janelle was saying.
Yeah,
yep.
So
Janelle's living her best life up there right now.
So hey, what happened to your phone with the fun questions?
I threw it down on the ground.
Let's dive into those.
I threw it next to the Bali coffee bag.
Because we seem to get rabbit trailed on those questions, and so let's just jump into those.
You want to jump in that fast?
The never have I evers. Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so never have I ever.
Oh! See, this is what.
Bro, I just got locked out.
You're out of challenges. Oh no!
I am officially. Well, hold on. There's a kid edition. Let's see if I can do the kid. Nope. I am guys.
All right,
the app locked me out.
We're gonna go to the would you rather's. Okay.
Jeez. Okay. So
would you rather be an amazing security?
Well, hold on. Slow down. We're Russian.
I'm not Russian.
We're Russian.
Dude, we got less than set.
If we have new listeners right now, we gotta let them know we like to play this game for you guys to get to know us, because we like to get to know you guys over in the Facebook.
6 minutes. 6 minutes. We got 6 minutes left.
We have all night, homie.
I'm on it. All right, so would you rather be an amazing security guard or be a terrible FBI agent?
I'd rather be the best Paul Blart that I could.
Me too.
Did you like that movie? Did you like those movies, Paul Blart Mall Cop with Kevin James?
I didn't see the second one, but the first one was hilarious.
Honestly, you don't need to see the second.
Okay,
first one was solid.
Good.
Second one was all right.
77% of people said they'd rather be the amazing security
Paul
guard.
Blart, homie.
So would you rather never know what time it is or never know what day it is? I would probably say never know what time, because then if I didn't know the day, I might forget that we were podcasting.
I already messed that up. Like, I think I'd rather not know what time it is and just focus on, is it sunny or is it dark outside?
Okay,
that
so
seems pretty good.
52% say never know what time.
People would rather know what time it is than what day it is.
No, they would rather know.
But then you never know when your birthday is. You go, oh.
They'd rather know what day it is than the time, is what they're saying.
Wait, I would never.
They'd never know the time.
Right.
So you know the day.
I'm just saying that's a lower percentage than I thought.
Yeah. So, all right, last one.
Okay.
Would you rather be in the Summer Olympics or be in the Winter Olympics?
Hands down, summer.
Summer? I think I would do the winter because I've always wanted to do the bobsledding.
Well, okay. So, would you? Are we talking like Jamaican bobsled, or are we talking about like the skeleton? You know what I'm talking about? The skeleton where it's a single man bobsled where you literally,
You mean the luge?
It's just use some tights and some sheets of ice.
That's the luge.
The luge. It's called the skeleton. Well, look it up. It's also the skeleton.
All right, I'm going to go with the regular Jamaican bobsled.
You want to go Jamaican bobsled if you did the winter?
59% said Summer Olympics.
All right, so if we had to do winter, to be honest with you, I would love to play hockey. That'd just be so much fun.
Yeah, see, I like my teeth.
Hockey'd be awesome. But
I like my teeth.
Summer Olympics, what would you think would be awesome to compete in?
I would probably do men's volleyball.
See, beach or normal?
Beach.
See, I mean, obviously, I love the game of soccer, but I love watching beach volleyball.
Yeah, it's the best.
Dude, who were the two dudes? The really, really tall dude and the really short dude. You know what I'm talking about?
I do not know.
Tall. It was a tall dude, bald, and then there's always a short dude who wore his hat backwards. And like,
I don't know.
I mean, wasn't that like Misty May? Wasn't that was always the girls, Misty May and whoever her partner was?
I'm not sure. I know another cool Winter Olympic game though. Curling.
I was gonna say,
how cool would curling be?
Actually, did you know that I went to a collegiate intramural curling event at Notre Dame once?
Wow. Alrighty, so I'm serious. We're gonna hit 10-minute mark. So
we can't. I got stories, bro.
We are not. We got plenty of time.
I got stories.
We are not drinking coffee tonight. I'm actually drinking the mango LaCroix.
Oh, that's a good one.
And some water, and you're just drinking agua from Aldi.
I'm drinking Aldi water, man. My coffee that I did not finish from 2 episodes ago is chilling over there. Cause I just got coffeeed out, dude. Like I drank about a half pot today.
Yeah.
And I am coffeeed out. You read the review while I drink my water.
All right. This review comes from JB52900. It says, 5-star, what a blessing. Been listening to this podcast for about a month now when I found Marc and Chris on Spotify by searching Christian podcast for my drives to and from work every day. And man, what a great decision that was. I love the fact that on any issue or question I may have, I can immediately find an episode that covers it. I appreciate the amazing attention to detail and care they put into each episode and the use of so much scripture for all their points. The banter and laid-back conversation at the beginning of each episode and the fun facts at the end make for great bookends for the discussion. I look forward to future Thursdays for the new episodes. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Thank you.
See, we like the banter.
Thank you, JB5290. I know, but I threw down the gauntlet.
Guess what?
So now we got a couple minutes of banter left. See?
All right. So check this out. I just opened up Spotify, right?
Okay.
And I will say, it's shocking to see how many of you guys have found us through Spotify.
It's awesome,
which is legit. We have 321 ratings on Spotify, dude.
What are we, all 5 stars or what?
Nah, it's 4.9.
4.9 stars. Thank you for the non-5 stars.
To be honest with you, it's not a bad thing because then it shows people like there's some 4 stars. It's not like 1,000 5 stars where people are
I just would like to know why, right? What makes people decide a 4-star over a 5-star? Just curious. Reach out to us in the Facebook group.
This is hilarious, dude. So I'm scrolling through Spotify right now, and we have a couple episodes that are flagged.
What?
Because of, you can learn more about COVID-19. Like,
what?
Because they think that we're spewing off something. So one of them is about the Christian response to the world around us out of COVID. Obviously, we had the COVID conversation.
Sure.
And then we did about 10 questions to reflect on this past year.
Wow.
And I don't know why that one is flagged for...
Because we probably mentioned COVID in it.
But no, it's more just reflect on the year. We say the year happy 2022.
Yeah, because
New Year's resolutions. I don't know how that mug got flagged, bro. I don't know.
Whatever. All right.
I don't know. But you know what, dude? I have to say, it's been a lot of fun to hang out. We say this every single week, but like our Instagram, fun fact, our Instagram, we've officially crossed over 1,000 followers on Instagram. We're getting close to 1,100. Facebook, I don't remember how many followers we have over there.
Yeah.
In the month of June, we gained like 40 subscribers on YouTube.
We're up 312, I believe, on YouTube.
And at date of recording, we are just under 200 people who are connected with us over on Facebook.
It's over 200.
Is it 200 now?
It's over 200.
Last time I checked, it was like 198.
Nope, it's over 200 now.
Is it for reals?
It's like 203 or something like that.
It's 208.
Oh, wow. We've gone up even since I checked it. But
so,
yeah.
Needless to say, dude, I just want to say this is something that we never thought We never thought this was going to happen.
We just thought
to have an online community. We just were pressing record and seeing what happens.
Sure.
And then we just decided to keep following God with what we wanted to do, and we thought these were cool. I mean, obviously, when we create certain content and how we write things, we're not dumb, but it's been fun. Well, we are idiots. That's true. But it's just been really cool to see this online community grow and blossom into what it is.
Sure. And people getting connected, and they would have never been connected had they not listened to this show.
Yep. So I'll say this, and then we'll move on because it's officially 10:24.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. You got us over. All right, people.
I'll say this, and
we
then
can
we'll
all
move on.
agree it was Marc's fault.
And I am here for that. If you are over in the Facebook land or group or whatever you want to call it, RTC fam, RTC online community.
I think it's RTC, or it's Real Talk Christian Podcast Community is the group name.
Yeah, you can find it just through our Facebook page, click groups, and boop, you're right there. Or search for it. But if you are hanging out over there and you listen to this specific episode, it would be awesome if you would post a follow-up question or discussion inside of that group.
Ooh.
So that way y'all can continue the conversation without me and Fuller having to figure out what I don't know always put in that group.
Yeah.
That sound good?
Sounds
you like
good,
that idea?
bro.
I would love for some people to actually step up and step out and make themselves known and say, hey, I was just listening. I had this thought about this specific conversation.
This specific conversation this is what it meant to me.
And maybe if you have a specific type of background based on your denomination or upbringing or family or parents or whatever, you can let us know if you maybe had some of these thoughts or if you thought a little differently.
And heck, you all might just reach out and say, you guys are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and we're here for it.
I mean, actually, here's a last fun fact question.
No.
With milk, what type of milk will you do? What's your favorite kind of milk? Not brands, but what's your favorite kind?
Okay. My favorite kind is different than what I drink because I'm currently dieting.
What's your favorite kind?
My favorite kind is the whole milk.
100%. 100% whole milk, baby.
Best tasting in the world.
All right, so let's jump into today's conversation because we are officially at 12-minute mark, people.
Let's do it.
All right, so this conversation actually came out of two different podcasts that I listened to, and they talked about this type of stuff.
Sure.
One of them is that I follow is called Ask Me Anything with JD Greer, and they just ask him random questions and they talk about it.
Kind of like Ask Pastor John.
Yeah, basically, just for JD Greer and his church. So it's pretty cool. But then the other one, which is this really spurred it, and I was like, okay, maybe we there's something here that we can talk about.
Can I guess?
100%.
Unbelievable?
100%.
Yeah.
So they did a throwback episode with William Lane Craig versus, and I don't remember the other guy's name, but it was a debate back in like 2012 or 13, something like that.
Man, you were like in diapers back then, weren't you?
Basically, bro. I was in college. You were sleeping on benches down in Florida. I was in college.
Sad but true.
I love it. So, but in that debate, they were talking about the validity for not just following Christianity, but God and deity and theism, like those styles of debates that I tend to listen to. And one of the things that the atheist professor brought up, and he's a actual scientist. He's not just a philosopher. About how so many times Christians deny science in the reality of, we say, oh, it's just God who did it. And if we don't know things, we say, oh, it's just God who did it. And he brought up a specific point regarding even modern medicine, that Christians refuse where science is going just to say, oh, well, God's got this, so whatever. And now you got pastors who are literally, I don't want to say murdering their congregations, but telling people, hey, you need to stop taking your medicine because if God's going to heal you, he's going to heal you. Or if not, your faith isn't big enough. You're your own God, all these different things. And he goes, look, this is what these pastors are doing. This is what these pastors are talking about, the fact that we reject modern medicine. I'm like, okay, so let's read into this a little bit more and asking the question of, okay, does modern medicine go against God, or do we need to rely on God? Or if we take modern medicine to our own hands, like surgeries or chemo, or, the life expectancy of people has increased like crazy.
Right.
People used to die at like, what, 50 was like the average death age or something, or even younger?
Some civilizations it was younger. I mean, depending on the culture and the things they had to deal with.
And now we got people living over 100 and late 90s.
Yeah, that's rare. I mean, I think the average lifespan is somewhere in the late 70s or early 80s, but yeah.
Right, but still we have a longer life expectancy. For sure. But are we putting what God wills into our own hands? Because if we say, well, I'm bulletproof until God is dead, and now we use modern medicine, we're extending our life, we're prolonging our lives. Is science actually better? Or as Christians, are we putting too much faith into this and not into God? And I was like, okay, is there something there? So I started doing a little bit of digging.
No, we do that here?
Yep, and a little bit of research. And, there's different groups inside of Protestantism that based on, I would say, what your, denomination is, what your background is, how much do you lean into certain aspects. Like if you're more of like from Bethel and that wing of Christianity, there's a lot of spirit, like Holy Spirit vibes where it's like, don't get modern medicine, just pray over it and heal it. And
Pentecostal.
Yeah, the Pentecostal apostolic movement. So there's a lot to do with that. But I was actually doing some research, and a lot of splinter cells have it in their doctrinal statements about medicine. And so this quote, oh, shoot, I did not bring in what the actual name of the article was and where it was from. So I'll have to get that so we can add it to the show notes. But I do believe it comes from religiostolerance.org is where I believe I got this quote from. And it says, the idea of medicine goes back to the idea. Oh, no, that's why some people care. Okay. So the idea of medicine goes back to the idea of the sovereignty of God. If God is faithful and gives good gifts to his children, why would he let us suffer? Plus, this is my terminology, we're bulletproof until God says so, right? So if we're supposed to live, God will let us live. And if we're supposed to die, God is sovereign and in control of that. And generally, I would say we don't see a lot of mainstream Protestantism like your Baptist, your Methodist, your Presbyterians. Like generally, those groups are totally all about modern medicine. In fact, most hospitals are founded by the WHO. There's the Baptist hospitals, there's the Methodist hospitals, there's the Lutheran hospitals, there's the Catholic hospitals. So obviously, a lot of Christians and Protestants and Catholics believe that, yes, modern medicine is a good thing to help people.
Sure.
Because we're in the helping people business. But there's a lot of splitter cell groups, specifically the Christian Scientists, which we talked about with Tom Cruise. And what was her face? She was the actress for King of Queens. She was big in the Christian Science world, and then she recently left.
Talking about for Scientology?
Scientology, yeah. And so that group, and surprisingly, Jehovah's Witness, they have it written to their doctrine that the use of medicine isn't needed for the Christian. But you'll always find people who believe that the use of medicine in prolonging life makes us into our own gods and shows a lack of faith. And so I have a couple verses here where it talks about healings and health, specifically when it comes to gifts and prayers and stuff like that. So I have two specific passages that we're going to talk about. Then we need to talk about on this show of how do we handle these two passages, because this is what the Bible says. We need to be people of the book. So if this is what the Bible says, we need to follow it. Right? So how do we handle those passages? And then we can wrap up into the fact of, are there counter arguments for it? And then what should we do about it?
Okay.
So I honestly, to be honest with you, I have no idea where this conversation is going to go. So
that's why it's real talk.
Let's just have the conversation and see where it goes. So when it comes to James 5:13-16, here's what it says. Is anyone among you suffering? He should pray. Is anyone cheerful? He should sing praises. If anyone is among you sick, he should call for the elders of the church, and they are to pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. The prayer of faith will save the sick person, and the Lord will raise him up. If he has committed sins, he will be forgiven. Therefore, confess your sins to one another and pray for one another so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is very powerful in its effect. Or the King Jimmy, the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. There you go. And there was a Instagram reel that Jagger actually sent to me because someone posted this on Mother. If he's sick, call on the other so he will be healed. And this one person was basically arguing with Jagger, well, if you're sick and you have enough faith, God will heal you. And if not, that's actually a sign of lack of faith. Because it talks about the prayer of the faith, the prayer of faith will save the sick.
Sure.
And if that's what the Bible says, that's what the Bible's going to say.
Sure.
And then continuing that thought, the Apostle Paul, when he was talking about 1 Corinthians 12, which we talked about in actually, that's how I ended last week's conversation. So I guess kind of fitting to continue it. We were talking about be a living sacrifice, and then talks about the body. It says, now there are different gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different ministries, but the same Lord. And there are different activities, but the same God works all of them in each person. A manifestation of the Spirit is given to each person for the common good. To one is the message of wisdom through the Spirit. To another, the message of knowledge by the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another one, the gifts of healing. There it is. So the gifts of healing is a gift from the Holy Spirit. And it says by the Holy Spirit to one another, to the performing of miracles, to another prophecy, to another distinguishing of the spirits, to another different types of tongues, another interpreter of tongues. One and the same Spirit is active in all of these, distributing to each person as he wills. So when you look at those two passages right there, we see that if someone is sick, they need to call the elders. Now, everyone kind of agrees if someone is, this is more like fatally sick, not like I got a cough. I need to call the elders and they need to come pray over me. Or if I'm sick, they've actually need to visit me. It's like, no. If someone is sick, and this is actually like we can see in the Greek, if they are sick, they are not okay. They can't even gather with the church.
Right.
Call on the elders. They're going to pray over them, anoint them with oil, and then the prayers of the faith will save the sick person. And then you see right there where, okay, we have the gift of the Spirit is the gifts of healing. So therefore, if God gives the gifts of healing and the prayers of the elders and the righteous man, availeth much, they're very powerful, why do we need medicine? It's just a sign that, we don't need it. If you have, cancer, if you're dealing with anything that's like detrimental, like cerebral palsy or iron deficiencies or weak immune system, is that actually a sign that you're either in sin or you're weak in the faith, or you just need to get your crap together, have some people pray over you, and find someone to heal you of your miraculous gift? Because like you hear stories of, pastors who walk into someone who's sick in the hospital and they literally like, get out of here, you whatever, like spirit of
demon spirit.
And they're like, oh, then they were just magically healed. Is that a real thing, or how do we handle this? And this is the conversation I don't think most people, I can guarantee most people listening to this podcast probably never really thought about. Because if you're sick, you go to the doctor.
Right.
If you have cancer, you go
chemo. And it depends, because we have listeners that are in the Pentecostal world where this is
other parts of the country.
Well, this is huge, right? Because I grew up in a Pentecostal type movement church, and this is exactly how we believed, right? Is that it was so bad that we had a person who had cancer, and that's what we did. We had hours and hours and hours of prayer meetings, laying hands, anointing with oil. Like that was normal to me back then. Is that what we're supposed to do? Can God? Well, let's answer this. Can God use that and heal that person? Sure,
100%.
Yeah, I believe that. I also believe that when we're talking about the gifts of healing,
okay,
my belief, right? This is
Fuller's belief.
Fuller's belief is that doctors and nurses have been given the knowledge and gifts of healing to help the sick, right? They've been researchers and stuff have been given certain knowledge and directed by God and led to things to be able to discover things to help people. And I believe that's God ordained. I don't believe it's the work of the devil. I myself use medicine and go to the doctor quite often. Now, there can be things that are used for evil, and there's things that are used for good, just like in anything. Would I suggest somebody not go to the doctor and just call on the elders? No. Would I say people should just go to the doctor and not call on the elders? No. I think you should do both. I think you should call on the elders to pray over you and ask the church to pray for you, that God lead and guide and help the doctors find the solution. And if they can't, Lord, if it be your will that this cup passeth from me, so be it. But if not, Lord, I'm ready to come and face you, right?
Right.
And I guess that's where Fuller's opinion kind of stands.
And I'm thinking through the gifts, and, Paul continues, and he says that desiring the gifts are a good thing.
Sure.
Now, we have to say, okay, so what is the purpose of these gifts, right? And so you see right there that the purpose is it's for the common good.
Right.
It's for the common good of the church. And this is talking about in the greater scheme of, in our bodies, like, there's the hand, there's the foot, there's the kidneys, there's the brain, there's the neck, there's the elbow, there's the weenus, which is the little part in your elbow right there. Like, we have all these remote body parts, and we're like, okay, this makes up the one body to do the good of what the body needs to do. In the same way for the church, there's so many different gifts that people are able to give. So what does that actually mean? And, in some regards, it talks about the gifts of healing. And I read some commentators where they're talking about breaking down how the word was used and that it's actually slightly different. It's not the gift of healing, but gifts of healing. So does that mean at certain points, at certain times, they were given gifts of healing? Because you see, back in specifically the day of the apostles, the woman who bled for her entire life, touched the robe of Jesus, and Jesus said, "I felt my power leave me."
Right.
Who touched me?
Well, we can also see
there was healing, and then
the lame man, the lepers. I mean, there's been.
But even Peter and James and John, they were doing miracles and
silver and gold have I none.
Right, and stand up and walk, and people were even trying to get into the shadow of Peter because he was healing people. So, every time we see the gifts that were used specifically with the growing of the church, they were to just do that. They were to they were signs and wonders that were promised to show them that yes, this is the Messiah, this is the way, this is the truth, this is the life. You like that? And then coming out of that into the New Testament church is about building up and edifying, and again continuing what the church actually is. So then the question becomes: since there's the formation of the canon, and since there's the creation of the church, have the gifts, I don't want to say ceased, but more the fact that do we necessarily always need them? And that's where it's hard because, again, there will be times when people will have cancer, they'll go to the doctor, you have cancer, they go back, they're like, and it's just gone. It's miraculously healed. And I think there's something to be said about that. But at the same time, I think there's an argument to be said about, when you combine both these passages, right? And again, I'm spitballing, I'm thinking out loud right now. When you see James, it doesn't say call on the person who has the gift of healing to heal them.
Right.
What does it say? Call on the elders, and they'll anoint them with oil and pray over them, and then and then God will bring God will actually what does it say? He will bring them up,
raise them up.
He will raise them up.
But it says God, right? And so often I think that people go, well, I'm praying. Okay, I think of Benny Hinn.
Okay,
right?
Yep.
The Lord is working through me, and I'm going to slap people with my coat, and they're going to be healed and slain in the spirit and all this. And it's like, come on now. Really?
Right. And
come on.
Yeah, but
you're doing this in your power.
But then if they follow that movement, read the book from is it Costi Hinn? Is that his name? Benny Hinn's
nephew
or something like that? I have that one on audiobook.
I have not read that, but I heard it was really good.
It was really good.
He was also on that American Gospel documentary on Amazon Prime.
And I've heard, I actually heard enough of his interviews when I was going through the book. I got halfway through the book. I'm like, this is all it's all the same stuff you said, so I'm good. So I didn't fully finish it.
You didn't finish a book? How do you know there wasn't something in there that was like a golden nugget?
Well, I guess I don't get the golden nugget.
You have to strip off the overburden to get to the nugget.
Man, but I got the idea. Most of that was just a show. Like when actual, Ava, like my daughter Ava, if they would see real people coming up on stage who have real issues, they would reject them.
Yep, exactly.
Which I thought was fascinating. But let's jump. So with 1 Corinthians 12, we have to say, but you and I both believe that the gifts haven't ceased. So therefore, how does the Spirit's outworking work in this? We don't fully know.
We would say that we don't put God in a box and say, yes, they have fully ceased, that we believe that they are still present but not prevalent.
Correct. And I would say that whenever you see these, it's for the building up and edification of the church and to grow the church.
Sure.
And most of the time when you meet those faithful prayer warriors at church, they're the most humble people in the world. They're not there up in the street corners like, I have the gift of healing. Come to me and I will come to you. You know, and if someone really had, and I even heard the argument, if someone really has the gift of healing, why do we have hospitals? Why do we have hospice centers? Why do we have all these different things? Which is fair.
And what was Luke?
Luke was a physician. He was a doctor.
So when did you say maybe he would have a gift of healing?
Theoretically, he traveled with Paul.
To say the gift of healing is just strictly prayer and miracles and
because maybe because I believe that even in Jewish time there was physicians in the Jewish culture.
Well, there was obviously, because look at Luke. Even though this is where I struggle, right? This is where I have not put enough research in to know what the real talk what the medical situation of the Jews.
No,
but real talk, even in the Egyptian times prior to Christ, there was all sorts of medical things that they did, and they even embalmed, right? And there was a ritual for even Jesus' body of a certain type of embalming to preserve the body.
Yep.
So they had knowledge of anatomy and how things sort of worked, right? Now, I wouldn't say they were as advanced in medicine and stuff like that as we are now, but I do know when Christ was on the cross, he said, I thirst, and what they tried to give him to drink was the wine, and it was supposed to help kill some of the pain, and he rejected it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they had some sense of how things worked with the body, and they tried to ease pains and stuff like that. So I do think there was modern medicine for them.
And check this out. So I actually found a journal essay for it's underneath the PubMed Central, and it's talking about the physician in ancient Israel, his status and function. And the first sentence says, "For centuries, the Jews have distinguished themselves in the practice of medicine, a tradition reaching back to the Talmudic times when rabbis were frequently acknowledged for their healing skills." And this trend developed during the medieval period in Europe when Jews, excluded from practically all the learned professions, turned to medicine as means of livelihood. So even in Jewish customs, the days when Jesus was there and the ancient Jews that practiced following Yahweh, there were still physicians among them. There were still healers.
And I think that knowledge was given to them by God. That was a gift. It was a gift from God. That was a gift of healing, right? They weren't called doctors back then. They were probably called healers or medicine men or whatever they call them. I don't know.
Right.
But my thought again, this is not like thus saith the Lord. This is all Fuller opinion stuff. I would think that when there's a possibility, I haven't studied the Greek on James or this 1 Corinthians passage. I just haven't. But there is a possibility that when they're talking about the gift of healing, it's not just necessarily meaning a miraculous healing, because if it did, why did we say performing miracles right after that?
That's true.
It's split,
okay, that's
right?
true.
It's split. There's performing miracles and there's healing. So it could be that it is talking about a miraculous healing, but I'd have to go and study it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely.
But my thought process right now is there's a possibility it may not mean that, but I don't know because I haven't studied it.
That's fair. So let's jump to James 5 then, right? Where it's talking about calling on the elders. Because the main primary thing that we have to talk about in this passage is the fact of, it says prayer, anointing of the head, and prayers of faith, like the prayers of the faith, and they will heal them and Jesus will raise them up. And so I got this quote from our good old friends at gotquestions.org. Talking about, and they asked the question of what is the prayers of faith?
Sure.
Right. And so this comes directly from them. We'll have the link in the show notes. And it says, the prayer of faith is made by the elders of a church visiting a sick person under their spiritual care. The prayer, accompanied by anointing with oil, is offered in the name of the Lord. That is in the Lord's authority and subject to his will. Prayer is made in full confidence of God's power to heal. In the particular illness is the result of if the particular illness is the result of personal sin, then confession and repentance of that sin is also called for. The raising up of James 5:15 is not necessarily physical. If it were, then no believer should ever die. Many Christians do die from disease or injury every year, but this doesn't mean they are lacking faith and that those who are praying for them lack faith. It simply means that it was not the Lord's will to heal in that particular instance. See John 5:14, 1 John 5:14. The prayer of faith is offered in faith, and part of faith is trusting that God knows best. Those who pray should be unwavering in their confidence that God will always do what is right. Having prayed the prayer of faith, we can cheerfully commit our lives into God's hand. The restoration of the sick one that James 5:15 guarantees as a result of the prayer of faith includes emotional, spiritual restoration that comes in the form of God's comfort and peace. So, actually, I didn't bring these articles in there, but I read one from, John Piper.
Sure.
Your dogs are barking.
Yep, they are.
I read one from John Piper. I read one from the Gospel Coalition and a couple other just general sources that I was just reading today. Mm-hmm. And they all were talking about the specific thing of the oil is the setting apart for the consecration of the Lord. In other words, like when a king was anointed with oil, what was the purpose of that? It was to say, you are God's elect. You are set apart for this. In the same way, when you anoint someone's head with oil, now some people would actually say, was that actually like, did they anoint them with some thieves? Did they anoint them with some lavender?
Probably olive oil.
Probably olive oil, but as the fact of we're consecrating you to God and we're putting you into God's hand because there's nothing else that we can do.
Well, and I'm looking at verse 15, right? And I have not studied this passage in the Greek behind it.
Okay.
But when I read it in English, it says the prayer of the faith will save the sick person, right? And the Lord will raise him up. It's not saying we'll heal the sick person. It's saying we'll save the sick person, and the Lord will raise him up. And if he's committed any sin, does that mean? And this is just a question. it's making me have to go study this now because I'm curious.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like it seems like
because
a low key
the Lord
question.
The Lord will raise him up if he committed sins. It will be forgiven. Is this maybe? Hey, he's on death's door and they're praying over him and this is the whole confession, and this is where the Catholics get the confessional, the last rites thing.
Yeah, the holy unction.
Maybe this is the passage they use. I have not.
This is the passage they use.
Is it? Mm-hmm. So I have not studied this in depth to really say one way or the other, but I'm saying, okay, if this is what they're using, I could see where they would get that from. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I could see where they're getting it from, right? Because it could be, depending on how the Greek is laid out. I mean, English to Greek translation is, not always correct or the most accurate. So I would say that I need to study this more, but there's a possibility that I could see it. I mean, I've always taken it as the prayer of faith will heal, I guess is the way I've always taken it, not save, but heal the sick person, and the Lord will raise them up, because I grew up in the Pentecostal where that's what it was, all faith healing stuff. But I'm not that way anymore. I don't believe that.
Right. No, I will say this. A lot of times when you talk about the Lord will raise him up, like I'm thinking about a lot of the Psalms, right?
Right.
And David talked about when he was in the valley of the shadow of death, when he was brought low, and it says God raises me up and lifts our spirit. So is it one of those things where, when God raises someone up, they raise them up from the pit of despair,
sure,
and encourages them and enlightens them?
Yeah.
I kind of think of,
I could see that.
Like, a lot of people, and I'll step into my pastoral role a little bit. There's a lot of times when people, when they're in the hospital or they're sick for any little, jot or tittle or whatever, they just expect their pastor to always be there. And Scott was teaching me, we can't be there for everything, but you also need to learn what to be there for.
Right.
And like, if someone's in the hospital quite a bit, like, do you always have to be there? Yes or no? But every single time when someone is dying or passing away, generally you go there for the person who was left. Because whenever someone dies, there's more than one there's more than one victim.
Right.
There's the person that does die, and then there's the person that's still here that still has to grieve it. And so a lot of times you go not for the person, but you also go for the grieving family that is there as well. But so many times Scott would say he'd go to people on their deathbed and just share the gospel with them and pray for them and anoint them. And so is that what it's talking about? That God will save them, their sins will be forgiven. The fact that, deathbed conversions are actually a thing.
Right.
Is that what this is also talking about? Because, we can't say that this always works. Every time an elder prays that someone gets better, it always works.
I can attest from experience that that's not the case.
Right. So, whenever there's a counter argument, you have to go, okay, so what is actually the truth that's being said? Because if we can just call on the elders and he does all these things, does that mean our elders suck? Does that mean our elders aren't righteous men?
But here's the thing is and this is where it gets dangerous, right? This is where I think many false teachers have hurt many people, is they go, oh, you didn't get healed. You must have a sin in your life. You must not have the faith, or else you'd be healed. Mm-hmm. And that has been said so many times, and it is so wrong, right? Because there's been many times when people haven't been healed. Shoot, the Lord himself said, if there may be anything that this cup passes over me, let it be so. Basically that, hey, if there's anything else, Lord. So he's praying for himself, and yet he still died. Now, it was for a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wholeheartedly believe that every life is ended at a certain time, predetermined by God, for a purpose. There is a purpose behind it. The purpose may be to meet him face to face. It may be to influence something else. I don't know. It's beyond me, but there is a purpose to it. There's a purpose to every life that is given on earth. Everyone has a purpose. There's a reason they're here. So if there's a purpose in life for everyone,
is there also a purpose in death?
Is there a purpose in death? And that's kind of where Fuller thought, I believe. There's a purpose in death, right? I don't know what that purpose is. I'm not God. But I believe that for some reason, for some time, for some appointed way, it could affect a family member or whatever, 50 years down the road. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to believe that there's a purpose for the death.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm not trying to transition back into my thoughts. I'll just make a harsh right term.
Just do it.
But, when the Apostle Paul talks about in a lot of his passages that he's either writing to the other churches or just in his own reflections, you see him say, actually, I'm just going to say the verse. So you got 2 Corinthians 12:6-9. It says, "For if I want to boast, I wouldn't be a fool because I would be telling the truth. But I will spare you so that no one can credit me with something beyond what he sees in me or hears from me, especially because of the extraordinary revelation." So basically, Paul's like, I got all these things, don't worry about it. He says, "Therefore, so that I would not exalt myself, a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to torment me so that I would not exalt myself." And I was the Apostle Paul has all these things, and he says to keep him humble. This thorn in the flesh was given. And what does it say? He says, "I pleaded with the Lord 3 times.
Sure.
If the Apostle Paul was a righteous man, he was the elder appointing the elders, wouldn't God have saved him? But the Apostle Paul said God chose not to remove it. So therefore...
Yeah, there's many reasons of what they think. A lot of theologians think, what is the thorn in the side? And Paul didn't say what that thorn is.
Some people think it's eyesight. Some people think it's his physical body. Some people think it's people, like actual real people.
Some people think it's like heretics, attacking him, or Judaizers, or, there's a lot of different theories of what that could be. But yeah, it definitely goes to say if he's praying for something, right? Paul, the writer of most of the New Testament, and it's not being taken away from him. It obviously has nothing to do with faith, I wouldn't think, because there's a plan in it. God has it there for a reason, and it's to keep Paul humble.
Right. I even think of the blind man, right? When the apostles were like, well, who's sinned, him or his parents? And Jesus is like, neither.
Right.
So that way God may be glorified through him.
Right, exactly. So, I wholeheartedly agree.
And then when you keep going, even in Galatians 4, the Apostle Paul flat out says, my physical appearance was a problem for you folks.
Right.
Like the way my physical body is, it was, in his own words, says, it was a trial for you. Which I think is fascinating, the fact of Paul has these thorns in the flesh, and his own physical appearance even caused people issues. And if he could have been healed, God would have healed him, know? And then you keep going, you see in 2 Timothy 4:20, he was, doing his final writings to Timothy, and he said, Erasmus has remained in Corinth. I left Trophimus sick at Miletus.
Right.
In other words, homeboy was sick,
Yeah.
and he had to go get better before he could continue. And so, but if Paul had the gifts of healing, or if Paul could just, call on the elders, he is the elder, anoint and pray, he would get better and he'd be sick.
Sure.
But the fact is, even Paul himself, or even Paul's companions, sickness is still here because of the human condition, just what we're dealing with.
It's part of sin.
It's part of sin.
It's part of sin, right? The fallen nature of humanity and the world due to sin is sickness and death.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just something we have to go through. And I like the statement you said earlier. If it were true, and maybe you're reading a quote, but if it were true that Christians could be healed just by faith alone, then we would be immortal and never die.
Right, we would
our physical body would never die because we just keep praying over each other.
Yeah. Last verse I got, though, 1 Timothy 5:23 is, and this was Paul talking to Timothy.
Sure.
Don't continue drinking only water. Use a little wine because of your stomach and your frequent illness. Timothy was constantly sick. And homeboy was set up to be one of the elders. And what did the Apostle Paul say? He said, drink some wine because of the healing properties that it has. I don't know if it was Chardonnay or Moscato. I don't really know. But the Apostle Paul said, drink. In other words,
it probably wasn't either of those.
Yeah, it was actually, it was Greek culture, so it probably tastes better than those. It wasn't box wine. But
it was probably actually fresh, like grape wine, I would like. Not processed. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Not processed wine.
That's true. But but the Apostle Paul says use something external to take away the pain and the edge to help you.
Right.
And so even Paul, the person who had the greatest faith, the one of the founders of the early church, even told Timothy, use medicine. It's okay. Use medicine. It's okay.
Sure.
Like I know you're just drinking water, you're trying to do what you got to do, but medicine is not always a bad thing. So then, when you come to all these conversations, those are I would say the main two passages that people say specifically about, modern medicine and that Christians don't need to worry about it, except for just the natural healing to the apostles and Jesus.
Sure.
But then the question still remains is, okay, so what should we do with modern medicine? And then what about alternative medicines, holistic medicines, which I'm just going to jump into it. I'm a huge fan of. Or there's acupuncture, or there's essential oils. essential oils. There's meditation. There's other different things that we can do. And there's even natural remedies that are out there in the world. Like we hear about like Native Americans who would use just the plants of the land to help heal other people as well. And that's becoming a very modern type thing rather than pharmaceuticals. So how do we handle all these different things coming out of this conversation?
Well, I think one, you have to live by conviction, right? Mm-hmm. So if you believe that you don't need...
each man be convinced in his own mind?
Yeah. If you believe that you don't need modern medicine, then I would say don't go after modern medicine. Don't use it. I don't think it's wise, but you live by your convictions. Mm-hmm. I would say I would stay away from... I'm all about natural remedies, but there are certain natural remedies which we say are remedies which I don't believe are correct, like marijuana, psychedelics, meditation,
and shrooms.
Meditation I'm not on board with because of where it comes from. That's just me personally, right? Meditation comes from some pagan worshiping stuff.
Well, that's the meditation of emptying yourself. I mean, there is a biblical meditation. Meditate on these things day and night.
Sure, but that's
the mantra stuff.
Yes, and that's what this is referring to, right? The mantra stuff. And I just can't get behind those things, right? That's just me personally. The essential oils. I mean,
if you can prove it to me, homie. Like, I mean, we use thieves at our house.
I'm a thieves guy, right? So there are some properties. I think that they're thieves for one thing, right? There's certain things that kill
lavender on burns and stuff.
Kills bacteria, stuff like that. That I'm all about that. Do I think I'm gonna drink lavender potions and stuff like that? Probably not.
Lavender lemonade's pretty dope.
That's probably not
lavender lemonade's pretty dope.
Yeah, but it's just I don't think it's gonna heal me drinking all this stuff. I just don't. That's me personally. Now I'm not saying that it's wrong, right, or indifferent, right? Live by your conviction. If you think it helps you, go for it. It's just not my cup. It's not my cup of tea.
Yep. And so I'm also more of a natural type guy when it comes to and I'm Beth sometimes like I drive her nuts because like I take Tylenol or ibuprofen as like a last resort because I just don't like taking it.
Sure.
But it's one of those things where I feel like so many times people take medicine to excuse their lifestyles. You know, and not all the time. No, but follow me, right? Like, why are you taking medicine for all these headaches that you're dealing with? Sometimes because you just need to drink more water. So drink more water or eat better foods. Because, again, processed foods do something to us. It's true. It's facts. It's science.
You got to be careful, though, because there are people that have natural migraines, right? Just natural migraines from tension or whatever. It has nothing to do with their lifestyle, what they're doing themselves. They just are naturally tense and get migraine headaches because of that. There's people that have all sorts of sickness and disease that it's not because of a lifestyle they chose.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. I'm saying for people who are choosing to, it's almost like you
just made a statement that it sounded like that.
Well, because I didn't finish my thought.
I'm sorry.
So
I'll pause.
My brother, for example, right, and my dad too, drove my mom nuts. So my brother, right, like he has had so many health issues over the years and all these struggles and hurdles and all these different things. However, all the kid eats is processed fried foods and all he drinks is Mountain Dew. And I'm like, if you would just change your diet.
Sure.
And again, he still would need to take certain medicines because of just all the surgeries he's had to have. Mm-hmm. Granted, right. But I'm like, dude, you wouldn't always feel like junk if you would actually eat something healthy once in a while.
But it depends on what they have going on, right? Because there's some people. Okay, I'll give you an example, right? So I have a person that I used to attend church with that was a bodybuilder that took care of his body immaculately, only ate healthy foods. I actually know several people like this. All natural, healthy foods, did not abuse their body with drinking, smoking.
Their body was a temple.
It was the temple. And they ended up with cancer. Mm-hmm. And they ended up with a bunch of health problems. And they treated their body better than you or I would ever think or imagine to treat our bodies, or any naturalist. I mean, they were like the healthiest organic foods. And yet their bodies still were in just mass disarray without medication, without lifestyle, and they end up having to get on medication to help them through it. And yet they did everything natural and took care of themselves.
And I agree, and they should. And I'm not, and I've talked about this on the show, I'm not, like, one of my kids is on ADHD medicine.
Sure.
You know, I'm not against certain types of antidepressants. I'm not against doing certain things in your life in order to, like, yes, be more fully engaged. But at the same time, it's more the fact of it mainly goes back to like gut health does a lot of good things. And I know a lot of people who have done, again, we can't control everything. And this is why I'm not against modern medicine at all. I mean, shoot, we were just at the ER and the doctor for 2 of my kids the other day. Like, I'm not against modern medicine at all. All I'm trying to say is the simple fact of we need to take care of and steward what we have well. But again, we can't just reject and refuse modern medicine either. You know, that's where I'm at. It's the fact of, yes, we need to holistically take care of ourselves because, yes, your spiritual health, I actually believe your spiritual health can mess up your physical health in the same way your emotional health can mess up your physical health. Sure. But yes, we need to be holistically minded in that. But I'm also like, I just get nervous when we're so fast to flip for just, quick drugs to fix the problems real fast.
And too. I guess I'm very hesitant of saying, well, let's try all this natural stuff when it's like you got cancer. Like this is, you can try all the natural stuff.
But I feel like that's a massive pendulum swing.
Well,
like you have cancer, so take some lavender.
Okay.
But that's not what I'm saying. Take the chemo.
But what I'm saying this for is because there are many people out there like that. Mm-hmm. And many people may take what you're saying and be like, yeah, I agree. That's why I won't go and get chemo. That's not what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. It's the same for like those Christians. And this is a 2012 article at Manchester, England, who stopped taking their AIDS medication.
Right.
Because a couple of people, and they died because of it. Then there was others who stopped taking.
But it's even.
Diabetic, and they didn't do anything with it. And it's like.
Sure.
No.
But it's even people.
Go get the insulin.
That have depression. Mm-hmm. Right. If you need to be on antidepressants and that helps you, that's what you need, right? That no matter how much natural stuff you're going to do is going to help you in that. Now, yes, there are some things that we can do to try to help that, but you need to be on that medicine first.
And I agree. And there's people in our Facebook group who actually have even shared on their own social media of like, yes, I deal with postpartum depression.
Sure.
Yes, take that to help you be the best mom you can be. I fully agree. Right. I fully agree with that.
So you just have to be careful, though, of saying, well, I'd rather just do natural. And it's like, well, I get that, but there's some people that don't have that option, right? And so we have to be careful in what we say when we make statements like that.
No, and I'm agreeing with you. But if people, I think, are taking my statement and run the wrong direction, I don't think they're hearing the heart behind it.
I know. That's why I'm just trying to clarify.
And I appreciate that.
That's not what's being said here, right? We're not saying, hey, you know what, natural is the way to go, because obviously you have a child who is taking medicine. I am a man who's taking medicine. I have family who's taking medicine. I have friends who are taking medicine. And they took the best care of themselves. Not me. I haven't. But I have friends that have taken the best care of themselves and had to be on medicine. And that's okay.
And my mom's one of those. And that's what I'm saying. And then there's nothing wrong with that. But all I'm trying to say is the fact of, and I'm not even trying to say you just need to live a better lifestyle and everything will be fixed, because it's the curse of sin.
Sure.
Right? But what I'm also trying to say is the fact of, yes, I'm all here for modern medicine, and I am very thankful for it, and I think we're blessed for it. I mean, shoot, I have had operations to fix issues that I've had because of the modern technology that we have. So, yes, we need to lean into it. We need to be thankful for it, for heart transplants and lung transplants and kidney like, holy crap, this stuff is awesome.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, I'm not against that fact of, if you have kidney disease, yes, call the elders, yes, pray, but also use the wisdom that God's given you and the wisdom that the doctors have given you, because I also firmly believe that modern medicine is actually a gift from God.
Sure.
And that people have been given these gifts and understanding just how the body itself works.
Right.
Because you see some of the greatest scientists in the world were Christians.
Right. Well, and
some of the greatest physicians in the world were Christians and even Jews who feared Yahweh.
Sure.
And it's because we appreciated the way God put the body together, and we want to help people. And that's what is it? The Hippocratic Oath, or what's where it's I will do no harm.
Right.
I will do, and that's what doctors' role is.
So there's been multi-millions, if not billions, of people that have lived because of modern medicine. Mm-hmm. Likewise, there's been multi-millions of babies that have died because of anatomy and modern medicine. So, I mean, there is a pendulum swing, right? Mm-hmm. It can be used for good or for evil. And we have to be careful and mindful of that. Just like you can abuse medicine, or you can not abuse medicine, which is where I think more where you're coming from. Do what you can to make sure you are healthy, so you don't have to be on medicine if you don't have to be. But if you have to be on medicine is what you're saying.
Like again, like diabetes is not just because you eat McDonald's.
Right. Well,
like, I have a great friend who, I mean, homegirl is in shape.
Yeah.
And she's type 2.
Well, there's kids born with diabetes. They did nothing but be born.
I mean, shoot, Nick Jonas was born with it, and dude is ripped.
Look at Jess Ronnie and her son.
Right.
You know, I mean, that wasn't something he chose. That's not something that happened. It's partisan, right? It's part of the fall of man. And I think that I'm just trying to clarify that so people don't just hear, okay, natural. Yeah, okay, essential oils because RTC does it. No, right. That's not what we're saying. So we are for medicine. We are for natural remedies. We are for whatever you believe is the right path that God has you on.
I'm also just for make sure you take care of yourself because a diet of fried food and Mountain Dew is not probably the wisest thing.
As you drink coffee with creamer in it, that's heavily processed. You see what I mean? It's calling the kettle black there.
That's not my whole diet, though.
No, it's not. But is it the proper way to take care of yourself? No, we probably shouldn't drink that stuff. I'm just saying, like some people, like me, right? I probably eat healthier than most people that are skinnier than me, and yet I'm
because of just the way your body
because of
is.
my physical makeup.
And we talked about that in the obesity episode.
It has nothing to do with my eating habits, right? I eat salads all the time. I eat very lean meats. It's just my body type.
Yep.
So, and that just happens.
Yep, and I agree. And so I don't want anyone to think that I'm over here trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Modernize
body shame.
Crunchy. I'm not trying to crunchy mom shame nobody. That's not the goal.
Right.
Because there are times, and I've known people who have relied on essential oils when they probably should have gone see a psychologist and seen a therapist and got on antidepressants.
Right.
And
it's fine. It's okay to be on that stuff.
Yeah. There's no shame.
No shame.
There's no shame. And our family is, I mean, we're walking testimonies of that.
Sure.
100%.
Yes.
Any last thoughts before we go into fun facts with Fuller, my dude?
I love you, man.
See, this is the deal, bro. It's the fact of here's the deal. Most people don't want to have these conversations.
They're tough conversations.
But we have them, and that's how we do it.
Right. And they're uncomfortable conversations, right? Nobody wants to be like, hey, you're abusing medication, or hey, you probably could take care of your body a little bit better, or hey, you probably need to be on some medication, and you on the essential oils.
Crazy. You on the crazy train. We can get you off. So let's get some.
It's uncomfortable conversations had, but I think they're important conversations to have.
I love it. But at the end of the day, use wisdom. I think that's where my thought is. Just use wisdom.
Live by conviction.
There you go. I love it. Ready for some fun facts?
Let's do it.
Time for Fun Facts with Fuller.
Packing up and everything. He's like,
I just put my iPad away. I'm going home.
I don't have to think no more. I could just be.
It's already 11 at night, man. But here's the deal, bro. We had no idea what these conversations were going to hold tonight, and they all three were long.
You know what? But they were all three good.
They were solid, bro.
I mean,
I love you, homie. I love you.
I do too. I love you, brother.
So let's send the people out. I closed my iPad because, again, I don't want to see this fun fact. This is 3 times in a row that I have no stinking clue what the fun fact is, dude.
This is a good one.
It better be good. You teed it up that well.
It's a pretty good one. So,
all right, give it to us.
Fun fact of the day.
Before
he became president, Abraham Lincoln was an elite wrestling champion. In 300 matches, he only lost one time.
Come on.
Bonus fact, he also was a licensed bartender. Fun facts of the day.
Honest Abe whooped some people's butts in wrestling.
299 people.
Is this what it's like when people don't have TV and social media? They actually like wrestle people.
Hey, you want to wrestle?
but we talked about this though. In college, we had wrestling matches all this
right in the hall.
time, dude. In the hall,
football, boxing matches, whatever. Dude, when you ain't got nothing to do, what are you supposed to do?
My favorites though is like watching like the videos of the guys like with those big exercise ball, run full speed, jump in bodies, and they like go. Pew.
And I go. Perpetual motion. That's what I think when I see that. And I'm like, somebody's going to get hurt.
Because we're old. When we were young, we were like, dude, I got a mattress. What can we do with this? Yeah. Now we're like, you could go to bed with it.
Now I'm like, you'll break a hip.
But dude, Abraham Lincoln whipped up on somebody, which I want to know who he
299.
Who did he lose to?
Well, just remember, Honest Abe was like freakishly tall.
That's true.
But he was also freakishly skinny.
That's true, but he was lean, mean,
Fighting machine.
who could whip up an old-fashioned real fast. I love it. Well, guys, just like always, it was an honor and a pleasure and a blessing to hang out with you again this week. If you are over on Apple Podcasts, before the episode ends, leave a rating and review. Over on Spotify, leave a rating, because that would mean the world to us. And if this episode meant something to you, share it with a friend.
Check us out on realtalkchristianpodcast.com. And also, don't forget, we'll be at the Engedi Music Festival, July 22nd, 23rd, Southwest Michigan. Leonidas, you can check them out on Facebook while you're there as well.
And it was EngediMusicFestival.com.
EngediMusicFest.com.
Just Google N, one word, Getty, different
So
word,
EN
Music Fest.
space GEDI.
We'll be hanging out with Jordan Felice, I Am They, and so many more other people. We'll be recording stuff right there on the spot. We'll also be teaching some sessions. It's going to be a good time, my dude.
It's going to be lit.
I love it. Well, if you have any questions for the show, head over to realtalkchristianpodcast.com. Scroll to the bottom of the homepage or the contact page and just fill out that contact form. We'd love to answer questions that you have either here on the show or via text or email. Anything else these people got to know before we let them go on their wonderful way?
No, sir.
I love it, guys. Well, hey, we love you guys, and until next time,
take it easy.